a very successful person or even a successful person. And I've learned it, and I've known it, and I've heard it for years. It's very hard to run for political office, okay? If you do nothing and you've had nothing life, you can run because you have nothing to look at. But the fact is, it is a very difficult thing. And everyone said, oh, there's no way, he'll never run. Then I read, they said, oh, he'll never file. Then I filed. And now the polls come out, and the polls are really good. And I understand everybody loves what I'm doing in terms of the border because we have to stop the illegals from coming in. You know, it's interesting. I did Bill O'Reilly tonight, and frankly, it's on at 8 o'clock, and he's a terrific guy. He asked me some tough questions and talking about the border. And we're doing a lot of that because people don't really know what's going on. And I love the Mexican people, and I love Mexico. I've always had a great relationship with Mexico. And thousands of people over the years have worked for me from all of the different Latin countries. You look, no matter where you have it, I have literally over the years thousands and thousands of people. And I've employed tens of thousands of people, which we have to do in this country because our country is honestly, it's going to hell. What we're going through right now, our real unemployment, it's not 5.6%. Every time I go down, I'm building something in Washington, the old post office. We're building a fantastic hotel. When anyone hears that I'm going there, I have massive crowds in front of the building. They're all looking for work. They all want jobs. So the real number is possibly 19, 20, or even 21%. I've seen it. People are writing it. That's the fact. You know, if you're looking for a job, and you give up looking for that job, you're considered essentially employed. They take you off, and it's ridiculous. So we're doing some things that are really, we're letting the world know. Now, I don't know. I'm in a position where maybe I win, maybe I don't win. I will tell you we're resonating. A lot of people say, what do you want to do it for? You have this great life, you have this great company. I built this incredible company. People weren't sure it was as big as it was, and now it turned out after I filed, they said, gee, it's much bigger. It's much stronger. There's so little debt. The assets are so incredible. I have among the greatest real estate assets in the world. And what happens is, I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. I'm saying it because that's the mindset and the thinking that you need in terms of this country. We're losing our jobs to so many countries. China, just taking us like we're babies. They're dealing with us like babies. They just lowered their interest rate yesterday, substantially, because they want their currency devalued further. They're taking our jobs, they're taking our money, they then loan the money back to us, we pay them interest. It is absolutely insane. Mexico, I get along great with Mexico. I get along great. But they're building a plant, Ford, $2.5 billion automobile plant. And I will tell you, I want that plant built in the United States. I want the jobs. I want the jobs to come to the United States. What good does it do for Ford to build cars and trucks and parts in Mexico, send them into the United States? They send them right into the United States, no tax, no nothing. All we get out of it is we lose jobs. And I said to myself, what are we doing? Mexico took a plant, as you know, big story, from Tennessee. It was expected to go to Tennessee. They changed their mind at the last moment. They built it in Mexico. How does that help us? These trading pacts are absolutely a disaster for our country. We have to put people back to work. Japan, a disaster. Japan is being run by somebody right now who's a very smart guy, Abe. And he's knocking the hell out of the yen. And it's making it very hard to compete. And a friend of mine, who's a big excavator, is out buying tractors. And he goes out and he calls me and he's like, sort of depressed. I said, what's your problem? He said, I just bought tractors. I said, what'd you buy, the cats? Because he always buys Caterpillar. He said, no, I bought Komatsu. I said, why did you buy Komatsu? He said, Donald, if you would see the deal I made, because the yen has been cut so low, and I owe it to my family, my company, my employees, I had no choice. I had to do it. And I said, isn't that sad? Isn't it sad? Nobody knows that. You look at those boats pouring in from Japan with the cars. You look at all of the activity in the harbors coming in from other countries. And in the meantime, our factories are closing. And you know it really well up here. You know that better than anybody. But our factories are closing all over the United States. I can tell you places in Iowa, they're showing me Iowa is a disaster also in terms of the factories. They're closing plants, and they're moving to Mexico and other places. And it's very unfair. And what we're missing is leadership. What we're missing is negotiators. We have great, great negotiators, but we don't use them. We use people that got their job because they were politically connected, because they gave campaign contributions, because they're a partner in special interests. I mean, that's what happens. So we can turn it around, and we can turn it around fast. So many things are happening. I mean, I had no idea. We're way ahead of schedule, way, way ahead. You know, it's interesting. I made a statement about 2 weeks ago when I announced, and I said that Mexico is wonderful. I love the people, but they're killing us at the border. And it was met with some indignation from certain people. Other people thought it was fantastic. I got great reviews on the speech. But a week later, there was nothing said. Then about a week later, people started saying, oh, he didn't say nice things about Mexico. It has nothing to do with nice. Great respect for their leaders, because they negotiate so much better than ours. But I have a problem. It's true. Biggest problem we have is we have people that don't know what they're doing. We have incompetent people representing us. But then I checked, and they said, oh, gee, you talked about crime. Well, if you look, and I got the Homeland Security reports, and I have other reports right in that room. It wasn't raining. I was going to bring them out and show it, but we don't want to wipe them totally out. But I have the reports right in the room. Hundreds of thousands of people, illegals, coming over the border. Hundreds of thousands in jail. Federal jails, state jails, local jails. The crime is enormous. When I mentioned that, people went crazy. What a terrible thing. And I have a great relationship, but what a terrible thing. So I went and checked, and it's like incredible. I have some statistics and some papers, if you want to see them, that are so bad you wouldn't even believe it. And then I say, where are the people that are critics? Where are they coming from? What are they doing it for? You know, we're all supposed to love our country. Whether you're conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat or anything. You know, the one thing you would think we have in common is that we love our country. But the word doesn't, I mean, it's, to me, I don't think maybe the word gets out. I'm not sure that our word gets out. You know, as an example, I was the other day in Chicago, and it was really a wonderful group of people, the City Club of Chicago. So they have a room for many, many years, and they use the room, and it holds about 400 people. And it was totally sold out. I think they announced, it was in the papers, 8 minutes. It was sold out. And then they had 2,000 people as of 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then yesterday, Paul, the head of the City Club, announced it was over 5,000 people tried to get in. So I said to myself, wow, that's nice. I said, why didn't you, I actually said, why didn't you get a bigger room? You could have done better. But they've had the same room for a long time. So he announced over 5,000 people tried to get in. So I said to the press, are you going to report that over 5,000 people tried to get in, but they couldn't? They were oversold. They didn't even sell, because once the room was full, that was it. And they all nodded, yes, yes, but there was no stories about that. The truth doesn't get out. Right. The media is not giving the truth. Now, the media's not, and I know so many people in the media, and some are great. You know, I've always gotten good press and fair press from the financial media, but the political media is very different. And I see some of the folks, and I have a lot of respect for them, but then they don't report the stories right. They're not going to say what a big crowd this is. This was a record-setting crowd for a house. Like record. This was the record. They're not going to report it. They don't report it. I mean, there's so many things that are said. For instance, in my speech, I said, I'm really rich. Well, the reason I said that, I didn't say I'm really rich. You know, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I did great. It's the hardest school probably to get into in the country, even back in the day when I got there. It's always been tough. I made a fortune, a vast fortune, with great stuff. And not internet stuff where you come up with a love game and the love game is worth X dollars and all of a sudden you're rich. I mean, I made it real estate, hotels and building and hard stuff. 40 Wall Street and Trump Tower and so many different things. The Bank of America building in San Francisco, nobody even knows I have a big chunk of that one. 1290 Avenue America. I made it the hard way, real estate. So I come out of this great school. I was a very good student. And then I make a fortune. Then I write a book called The Art of the Deal, and many others. But The Art of the Deal was one of the most successful business books ever in history. Maybe the most, according to people. Then I do a show called The Apprentice, and it was a tremendous success. In fact, so successful that NBC was really angry when I said I'm running for president. They didn't want, they renewed. I see Katie's in the audience. They renewed The Apprentice. They renewed it. They didn't know I was doing this. I said, I'm doing it. They renewed it. Now all of a sudden, and then they were still okay. They said, well, listen, come back to us when you're ready. But we want to go on. And then the poll came out a week ago, which was devastating to NBC because it was number 2. Now they said, he's number 2. He's never going to come back. They were not thrilled. They were not thrilled. So they left 51 wonderful girls who worked so hard all their lives to become a representative and go to the Miss USA pageant. It's in Louisiana. They're all waiting there right now. And they left them, just abandoned them. And so did, as you know, Univision. So did Univision. They abandoned these 51 great girls. And I said, these young women are going to have their back, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going there. As you know, I'm going there on a week from Sunday. And what they did, what NBC and Univision did to these young women was disgraceful. They never had them in mind. They never even thought about it. And, it's interesting. I have a contract. You're like, I'm good at contracts, right? You've heard. I'm pretty good at contracts. So I have a contract with Univision. And the contract is a binding contract. It doesn't have termination rights. It doesn't have, we can go whenever you want, blah, blah, blah. And they call me, and the guys are very apologetic. I said, what do you say? Say it. Come on, say it, say it. Bottom line is, I have a contract you can't terminate. And they terminate with a press release. That's because I spoke harshly of the border. The border is a disaster. But it's not only the border. And it's not Mexico. People coming from all over the world through that border. I just read a report today. They're coming in from the Middle East. I don't want them coming in they're coming in through the southern border from the Middle East. They're coming in from all over South America. And they're coming in from Mexico. They're coming from all over. And we're like the stupid people with 18 trillion in debt. So we're a debtor nation. And we have nothing but problems. And we're taking them just like water. They walk through like water. The illegals are pouring into the country. So I said, I have to do some work because I don't understand why would some people be so upset with what I say. And then I found out it's far worse than anybody knows. You speak to the border guards, you speak to the patrols, you speak to the people that really know. You go to Homeland Security, you'll see what's happening. And I brought it up. And I discussed it tonight on Bill O'Reilly. I brought it up. And people love that I brought it up because we're tired. We're tired of being abused by the media and by others that I guess they don't have the best interests of the country at heart. I guess they don't. And if you would, get me the articles, get me those couple of articles, Hope and Corey. See if you can find those couple of articles that I actually took out. And I didn't bring them out because it's raining. Now at least you know it's my hair because it's raining out here. If this wasn't my hair, believe me, I would not be out here. It would have been nice to have been inside, but this is okay. That's right, you better believe it. The brain, it's the brain. You care about the brain. The brain is very important. Let me just see those couple of things. Because this is all the real deal. Here, hold this. Okay. So this is Bob Berry. You know Bob Berry Jr., great sports person, respected all over Arizona, all over the country. Killed. Horribly killed. This is a few pages from Homeland Security report. It's like so thick. But these are pages. And under this, basically it says, I guess if you add it all up, because they're talking about state penitentiaries and federal penitentiaries and all of these different places. Hundreds of thousands of people coming into the country illegally are in penitentiaries. Now, do you think the folks and the countries where they came from want them back? Do you think they probably forced them? Isn't that smart? You know, you think they might have forced them? So this one turned out to be about, if you add it all up, 351,000 people. 351,000 people. It's crazy. And then here's one that's incredible. This is a paper, and this is an interesting one, because this one was done, I got it from Huffington Post. They don't like me. Because I mentioned the word rape. I said, tremendous, because I heard that from people that are really into this whole thing with the border. I mentioned the word rape. And I felt, oh, maybe, you know, I don't know, the way I thought, maybe there's never been a rape. Maybe there's never been a problem. Maybe there's never been a crime. Then I'm looking at these reports. So this is from Fusion and Huffington Post. Fusion. Now, who owns Fusion? You know? Univision. So Univision, who made such a big deal out of my statements, because they're afraid of Mexico. And the reason they're afraid of Mexico isn't, I think, because of the border, although they're getting away with murder at the border. Mexico's getting away with murder. Remember, I respect Mexico. And I respect their leaders. If you can get away with it. I wish we could get away. I wish our people were smart enough to get away. It's like I respect China, and I respect their leaders. But I don't like what they're doing to us, but I'm really more angry at our leaders because they allow it to happen. I have the largest bank in the world, by far, from China in my building. They're a tenant. They pay me rent. I love them. Their credit is very good. The money always comes in. They're in one of my buildings. Largest bank in the world, by far. Take Citibank and multiply it times many times. They love Trump. They did a story in Business Week a while ago, and it said, what do the Chinese, something paraphrasing, what do the Chinese most want? One of the 10 things. One of them was anything Trump. It's crazy. Anything Trump. Because they have to respect you. And they'll like you better. They'll respect you. So I did a thing on the border, and I wanted to look, and I wanted to hear, well, what's going on the border with young women that are coming across? Again, this is done by Fusion, owned by Univision, that made such a big deal over my statement, that I would mention crime, that I would mention rape, and that I would mention all of the problems. So this was done by Univision, essentially, but it was done by Fusion, and I read it in Huffington Post. So they'll both be, I'm sure, thrilled that I mentioned that. And the headline, and the story is even worse than the headline, and to me it's impossible to almost believe. 80% of Central American women and girls are raped crossing into the United States. Now, I mentioned this, and they said, oh, how could you mention a thing like this? I had no idea it was this bad. It's horrible. Here's another one. I have hundreds of these articles, hundreds. Illegal alien rapes and murders young baby in New Mexico. Okay? By the way, hundreds of these articles. Now, I don't know where they came from. Came from someplace. But they're illegal. They shouldn't be allowed in the country. We need a border. When you don't have a border, you don't have a country. Now, people can come in legally. It's true. People, you know, it's very interesting. Somebody said I made a fantastic speech 2 weeks ago. They say, my only problem is I speak through the applause. And I kill all the applause. And you know what, the truth? I understand that, but I don't have time to wait. I don't care. I don't care. But you look and you see what's happening to us. And we are really becoming the world's great dumping ground. They are dumping their problems on us. And we take care of the problems. But we don't really, because we're getting weaker and weaker and more pathetic. And then you look at our gross national product, where last quarter it was actually under zero. That means we're getting smaller. All these people are pouring in, we're getting smaller. That's the opposite of the Trump company that I built, which, by the way, got so big that nobody wants to report on it. They all said, he'll never run because he doesn't want to show that he's not as big. It turned out I was much bigger than everybody said. I loved it. And then they said, again, I told you this, he'll never file. I filed. Not one person that said, I'll never file. One guy said, some loser said, if he files, I'll take 1 year of salary and I won't take it. I won't even say who it was. I filed. I was going to write a note saying, where's your 1 year? But I didn't want him to know that I was watching. So I have an expression that I use. It's, the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. So think of it. So I made the announcement, and I said, the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And the place went crazy. Here's my only problem. With television, these people, I mean, Katie hasn't even looked up once at me. When these, the level of hatred is incredible. But when these people, I hope so. But when these people, I think you do a good job, by the way, Katie. But when these people reported it, they left out the second half. So they have me on television, right? Look, they're all shaking their heads. So they have me on television screaming, the American dream is dead. And then they go, cut. And I look terrible. My wife said, that's a terrible statement. I said, I didn't make that. I said, I'm going to make it bigger and better. You got to trust your instincts. You can't believe the press. You can't believe it. So, we'll do a few questions. And it is actually nice and refreshing to be outside in New Hampshire. What a beautiful place. And we will do a few questions. But I have to tell you another one, because I do get a kick out of talking about it. It's horrible in a way, but I get a kick out of it. So I told you I went to the best school. I told you I made a fortune. Because of the fortune, they asked me to do a book, Random House. Great company. I did a book, became that. I told you all this. And then I did the show, it was a great success. Okay, right? And then I hear from the press constantly. Can you imagine how sad it is that Donald Trump is in second place and he's going to take the place of some third-rate governor? They don't say the third rate. Or some third-rate senator, or some other person that lost every election they've been in except maybe one, or lost their job or something. And they say, I heard it just this morning. Oh, isn't it terrible? Donald Trump is going to be on the stage. And by having 10, you know the deal is it's going to be 10. And if you're not in the 10, you don't make it. That's okay. That's the way life is supposed to work, right? But they go, can you imagine? Isn't it sad? Donald Trump, who's done more than me? I've employed tens of thousands of people over my life. And they're saying, you know, the people, they're real losers. Sleepy eyes, Chuck Todd. You know, Meet the Press dying, going down the tubes. No ratings. But they say, the other day, isn't it sad when Donald Trump is going to be up on that stage? And various senators and Republicans, no, they're saying, and various senators and Republicans won't make it. And these guys haven't done anything like compared to what I've done. So, look, I'm saying this for a reason. We need a certain mentality. One person came to me last week and said, Mr. Trump, I think you're amazing. I think you're really competent. You're really smart. But do you think you have the personality to become president? Because I don't think people like you. They said, I don't think people like you. And I said to myself, that's sort of amazing. That's a sort of a nasty statement. Bring those CNN ratings over here, would you? Just bring them over, right? This is a classic. Is CNN out here someplace? CNN? Everybody's here. I don't think they're here. I don't think all these people are here for a lot of other people. But then I'm not supposed to be on the stage, and they are, even though the press doesn't even bother. You know what? Boring. Yeah. Bring those CNN ratings. But they said to me, and this was a very smart woman, and likes me and thinks I'm good. I said, well, you know, I really think I have a nice personality. People really do like me. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody know Corey, the legend. He's a legend. I said, you know, I think I give a lot of money to charity. You saw that the other day in my report. I mean, I gave like 102 million to charity. It's not bad. I want to stay liquid, so I don't want to give too much. I'll leave it, and when I die, I'll leave a lot more. And I want to remain liquid, so I can do deals when the market crashes and when the bubble pops, because we are in a bubble like you've never seen. Let me tell you, when you have interest rates where they're giving you free money, and you know the only ones that can get the money, guys like me that don't need it. If you don't need money, you get all the money. I have banks call me all the time. Donald, we'd love to loan you any amount of money you want. But I have friends that are great job-producing developers. Great guys. And they want to do things. They can't get any money. This is the first time in history. You can get all the money you want if you don't need it. But if you need it, forget it. Okay. So I said, well, let's think about that. I'm not a nice person, they said, but I am a nice person. I have great friendships, great friends. Do most of you people think I'm a nice person?
Yeah!
Ultimately, that's much more important. But, you know, I said to myself, I don't think it matters if I'm nice or not. Because I really believe this is going to be an election that's based on competence. I think people are tired of incompetent people running our country. I really think. So, I don't know if, and she said that. She said, I think you're a nice person, but I don't know if people think you're nice. And I do. I even see in reports, you know, who's the meanest person? I go down as the meanest. I don't think I'm the meanest person. But I know how to make things work. Whether it's the Woolman skating rink, under construction for 7 years in Central Park. That was the beginning. And I went in and complained to Ed Koch, and I got it done in 3 months for a fraction, tiny fraction of the cost. Recently, it was, I guess, anywhere from 20 to 31 years. They don't even know how long. The big golf project built in the Bronx. And Mayor Bloomberg came to me. He said, it's so embarrassing. Is it possible for you to get involved? I got the thing done almost immediately. It's been open for 6 months. People are playing. It's been great. They think it's 31 years under construction. Think of it. This is a golf course in a landfill. It would take you, what, 12 days? This is a guy. Now, they had rough contractors, rough cookies. They would dump dirt. First day I go there. So I get it. They're bidders, and I get it. And they go, and I see a huge truck pulling up with sand, which has to go to the driving range, which is about 500 yards away. So this massive truck pulls up with a load of beautiful brand new sand, and it dumps it at the entrance. I said, what the hell are you dumping it here for? Well, sir, that's the way we've been doing it for the last 30 years, right? So explain this. You have to understand, the city's paying for this, right? The city's paying. So they dump this massive load at the entrance. They then have a tractor come in with another truck. They load up the truck, and they move it 400 yards away and dump it under it. I said, why didn't you just have the big truck go in right at the beginning and dump it? I don't know. We've never done it that way. Well, there are 100 things like that. 100. So I got it open. It's a tremendous success. It's gotten tremendous reviews, and it's something that's really, really great, and we're really proud of it. But I think it's going to be an election based on competence. And I'll tell you something. What I do better than anybody, I build. I know how to build things. I see a hospital. It's a hospital, not a big one. $1.2 billion. I said, oh, I wish I was that contractor. $1.2 billion for a hospital. Not a big one. I won't even tell you where, but some of you people know about it, right? I think. I say, how can it cost $1.2 billion? I can look at something and tell you how much it's going to cost. Like as an example, the old posters of where I'm building what will be one of the best. I already have a hotel that's rated about the best hotel in all of North America. I think this will top it. So I'm with my contractors the other day. I was down with Elizabeth Dole, helping some incredible women that take care of their husbands when they come back. I mean, these are incredible. They're angels. And I was with them. There were 72 of them. And I went to see them. And they were unbelievable. The love they have for their husbands. I mean, their husbands go out, and then they come back, and they're missing arms and legs, or both, and worse. And they were just devastated. And these women are unbelievable. I call them the angels. You could call them the angel warriors. Because that's what they are. They take care of their husbands so beautifully. So I'm down there, and before I walked in, I walked all through my hotel that I'm building. It's under construction. Dust all over the place, contractors all over the place. I have the hard hat on, I'm running through, I'm there for 2 hours. And I got to this beautiful area in Washington where they have the home, which is a landmark home, and I'm loaded up with dust. And I explained to the people, I was checking construction. And I was checking that the contractors aren't ripping me off too much. You understand? And right now we're under budget and ahead of schedule. And that's what should happen with our country. We have roads, and I had one of the people running for office in my car, the back seat of my car. And we're driving along a road that was so bad. There were potholes, there were you know those horrible railings, the metal railings that go this way, and you never see a piece that's not broken or warped. I don't know. It's impossible for that many cars to hit it. So it must be warped. Whoever owns that company has, in my opinion, is the greatest salesman in history. Because you see it all over the United States. I guarantee you, there's a lot of political contributions made. I guarantee it. Because one of the first things I'd stop is the character that makes that crap. It is the worst. Going down, it's fairly new, and it's all warped, and it's rusting, and it's horrible. And the road is bad, and the median's bad, and the curbs are all, and there's a highway. And I'm saying to the guy next to me, who's competing with me? Isn't it terrible, the condition of this road? He goes, what? He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. He thought it was just fine. You need an eye. You need an eye. So, CNN. So they do a poll, and it was a nice poll. They had me second, which it's hard to believe I'm second to Bush. Because Bush is not going to get us to the promised land, folks. I tell you. This guy, I don't want to say he's a stiff, because that's too rude. And then they will say I'm not a nice person. But, you know, can you imagine him negotiating against China? It took him 4 days to determine that Iraq was not a good thing.